Are you looking to buy your first Corvette? Are you looking to sell a Corvette that you have currently? Well, this video is for you. Look no further. This is the video you want to watch if you are looking to buy or sell a Corvette today. Since the very first Corvette produced back in 1953, over 2 million Corvettes have been produced and sold. Although the C8 Corvette almost eclipsed the single-year production and new car sales record, 1979 is still the single largest year at 53,807 Corvettes produced. So, we all recognize how you buy a new Corvette. But what about pre-owned Corvettes? What are the options out there in terms of buying one? What are your options in terms of selling your own Corvette in order to move into a new Corvette? In today's video, we're going to talk all about the different options that you have in this particular area. I'm pleased to have Joe. You guys all know Joe. He's going to be joining me to discuss the many options, and some will know Joe's actually the one that came up with this idea for HPO Vet Exchange. Without further ado, here's Joe.
Hey, Justin. Hello, everybody. Glad to be here and share a great new way to think about either buying or selling a Corvette. Any of you have owned a Corvette for whether it was a year, 2 years, or frankly, many decades. When it comes to that ultimate decision to buy your prized Corvette, you have several options. You can think about the older days where we used to list things in magazines, which some people still do, or you can think about the series of digital assets available to all of us, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or other opportunities to list. Or you can consider trading it in to your dealer, and perhaps it's your dealer that you may be buying your new Corvette from. But no matter which one of those you choose, there are challenges and issues with each of them, and we're going to explore each one of those briefly. So let's start with maybe you're going to trade your existing Corvette into a dealer. So the challenges there, as most of you may have experienced firsthand, is ultimately the price in which they may offer you. While you may have kept your Corvette mint out of the rain and even tried to dry it before it was done being washed, they don't really seem to value or care. They open up what's called the industry black book. They take the miles. And again, regardless of condition, they will just bark a price out at you, which may sit you back in your seat quickly when you realize that all of that care just didn't quite matter, because they're going to basically put that car on the lot and they're going to resell it with quite a big markup from what they're paying you. Another alternative when selling your car is to list it on one of the different digital assets that are available. The challenge there is, what price do I price it at? What if I price it too inexpensive? What if I price it at too high of a price? What kind of traffic will I generate? And more importantly, do I have the time to do all of that? And what about the emails that come in that are really just trying to either track down my address, track down my phone number, track down my email, and really have nothing to do with their interest in buying my car?
Tire kickers.
Exactly. And then ultimately you have the decision to have these people coming to either your house or some central place that you're going to meet them, not really knowing whether they're serious or not. Inevitably, they will also, despite agreeing to a price with you, come, look at the car, find a myriad of things potentially that they think are wrong, and then try and haggle you down in price, and you end up pretty much wasting an afternoon.
So really there are a couple options here, but what Joe and I have created is something that's going to make it a little bit easier for the community. And this is something we wanted to do for you guys, because we know as Corvette owners how difficult this can be sometimes. When, just like Joe said, when you have a car that's never seen rain and you dry it before it's even really washed, that's the kind of car that we know is worth more than just your average run-of-the-mill kind of thing. And it is worth more, especially to you. But at the end of the day, Joe and I are able to really get a value for these cars that makes sense for everybody. So far, the cars that we have connected buyer and seller on have netted positive results for both the buyer and the seller outside of what they would have gotten at a dealership. The buyer got a better price, the seller got a better price than what he would have gotten at a dealer. That's ultimately what we're trying to create here for the community.
And Justin, that was, really what this, service was really all about, was how can we provide something that really isn't necessarily in the marketplace today, and do it through your reach and community of well over 100,000 followers today. And so far, I have to say, it's working quite well. At some point during this, I'm sure you can show some of the various cars we've had from from
Oh, yeah.
C7, C8s, and currently a beautiful C5 with over 700 horsepower. So we really are getting some tremendous, really sharp, extremely well taken care of vehicles and finding them buyers who really, really appreciate the opportunity to be able to buy, whether it's their first Corvette, second, third, or fourth Corvette, one they know has been cherished and really well maintained.
So to kind of elaborate a little bit on what is being said here, what we are and what we're not. We are not a car dealership. We're not somebody who will purchase the car from you. We are simply the middlemen. We will connect a buyer and a seller and vet both sides to make sure both sides are very serious about it before any communication happens between the two. Now, what that's going to do for you is ensure, like Joe said, there are no tire kickers. People aren't coming to your house just to look at the car and then leave. These people will only be involved in the process once everything else is done. So they're there to sign the papers, pay the bill, and drive away with the car. And on top of all this stuff, guys, we have a full concierge service. Joe, why don't you take that one away?
Sure, Justin. So what we do is we want to make sure the buying experience is just as pleasant for the buyer as it is, frankly, for the seller. So before we ever get back in touch with the seller, with the prospect, I have actually talked to, on the phone, the buyer. I have vetted the buyer in terms of their desire to purchase the car, whether they'll be buying it in cash, whether they'll be financing the car, and all of that information is then sort of discussed with the seller before I ever physically connect the two together. And I join that first phone call to really make sure that the needle is threaded between the introduction and all of the background facts that have been ascertained. This is a time saver for anybody selling a car and not having to worry about all of those details we talked about, whether it's tire kickers, people pretending, just wanting to drive your car, frankly, with no intention of ever buying it, maybe coming out, agreeing on price, either an email or on the phone, only to offer you $5,000 less than everything you thought you had agreed upon. So the concierge service also helps you with the pricing. So maybe you have an idea what you'd like to get for the vehicle, or maybe you're not so sure. Or maybe with the changes in the market that frankly can happen from month to month, if not these days, sometimes week to week, you're not really sure. So my deep research and contacts will help assist that process. And rest assured, we will not list a car until we agree on what that price is going to be mutually.
So I think really to sum this up, guys, like I've said a couple times, we are in the service of connecting buyer and seller, and this is more of a personal touch. Joe will do a fair amount of the work. You'll talk directly to Joe. Joe's going to do all of the research, and he's very, very good at it. And whenever it comes down time, I will be advertising it on the channel through YouTube Shorts. We'll be talking about it on the live videos. These cars so far have been sold almost immediately. They go very quickly typically, with the exception of very specific models that require very specific buyers, but you guys know how that is. And with that said, there is, of course, a lot of Q&As available right on the horsepowerobsessed.com website, where if you have a question specifically about this, odds are good it's already been asked and it's already been answered. But you can always feel free to email Joe and he'll get back to you pretty much immediately with an answer regardless. So yes, there's a process involved in this, but it has been a very smooth process so far. In the very few months that we've been doing this, guys, we have sold numerous cars, ranging from C7 Corvette ZR1s that were well into the $100,000 range, into C8 Corvette Z06s that also pushed into the $100,000 range, but also C8 Corvettes that were closer to $50,000, $60,000 range. So it doesn't really matter too much the price of the car or even what the car is, outside of the fact that it has to be a Corvette. As of right now, we are not venturing into anything else that's not Corvette related. This is strictly a Corvette service offered for the Corvette community. So if you want to get involved or more involved in your Corvette community, there's a lot of people out there looking to buy. There's a lot of people out there looking to sell, and typically they're already in the community. A lot of them are already subscribed to my channel, so they see a lot of what we're doing here. Like I said, so far it's been working very well. So you guys might be wondering, why Joe? Why is Joe involved in the selling process of this car? Well, Joe has quite a history with this kind of stuff, and he's very good at what he does. So Joe, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and why selling these kind of things is kind of right up your alley?
Sure, Justin. Well, thanks. I started as literally a car nut at age 16. I worked in a body shop part-time on weekends all through high school and most of college. I've owned, at 60 years old, I've literally owned 52 cars in a micro of Word worksheet that has a picture and year, make, and model of cars, not just Corvettes. I started with Gen 1 Camaros, but my real affiliation in the last, I'd say, 15 years has been strictly around Corvettes. I've owned Z06s, I've owned Z51s, I've owned C6, C5, C7, C8, and actually currently have a 2025 Z06 as well. So I have a passion, but I also am in touch being a officer of a Corvette club, the largest in New Jersey. I go to car shows, pretty much most weekends throughout the entire summer in New Jersey. And so I have a good touch in terms of knowing sort of where the markets are. And then I've got a myriad of contacts throughout the country. I think one point to mention is we've literally sold cars in, Pennsylvania all the way out to California and two in Dallas. So we really do have a really wide reach. And I really enjoy helping and seeing the pride that a seller has in finding a buyer that they know is actually going to take care of their car as well as they did.
Again, being Corvette owners, such as myself and Joe, we're very in touch with the Corvette community because we're part of it. So what better way to connect buyer and seller than to be part of the same community? So we keep talking about how great this service is, but what about actual testimonials? We actually have several on the website. Joe, what's your experience been like with actually working with buyer and seller?
So it's been really, really exciting from literally the first phone call of bringing buyer and seller together, where they obviously share interest in the exact same vehicle. And then post-sale, the follow-ups, unsolicited that I get from either the buyer or the seller. And as you mentioned, we've begun to post those under testimonials on the site for all of you to see. We can say whatever it is we'd like to, but literally when you see a paragraph or a quote coming directly from, in this case, both buyers and sellers, I think that's the best testimonial that anybody could have about any service.
Totally agree. All right, guys, that's going to do it for the video. We wanted to just get something out there talking about this service because other than our live video and just word of mouth, we haven't really mentioned this much to the Corvette community. And because of how well it's doing, we realized this is a service that you guys want to know more about and possibly just know of. So there it is. If you guys want more information, you can go to the horsepowerobsessed.com website. Right at the top, you'll click on HPO Vette Exchange. And from there, you can find the email us, and we will get more information out to you. If you have any questions about anything, that's what the email is there for. So if you liked it, smash the thumbs up button. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below or email us at that aforementioned email we were just talking about, and we'll get everything settled for you. If you haven't subscribed yet, guys, please do. We're going to have tons of content like this coming you're not going to want to miss. And as always, stay obsessed.